The Arkansas Razorbacks welcome in the #1 team in the country, the regular season champions in the SEC, the South Carolina Gamecocks. Dawn Staley's team picking up another championship in the regular season. You take a look at the standings. They're atop the standings. Things coming into a little bit of focus, although it is pretty blurry there in the middle with Alabama and Vandy, Mississippi State, and Arkansas in a very tight group heading into the final days of the regular season. Great to have you with us. Eric Freed alongside Christy Thomas-Scuddy. And yes, something's coming in the focus, but there's still a lot to be determined here.
Well, you mentioned the SEC standings. I think for all those teams in the middle, it's about NCAA standings, all those teams on the bubble right now.
Arkansas, one of those bubble teams right now on the outside looking in, according to Charlie Cream, are the Razorbacks.
Well, the best news for Arkansas is there's opportunity in front of them. Ole Miss firmly in the field, and a huge opportunity with the #1 overall seed on their home court here this evening. The best news for them, it is in their hands. Win, and they have the ability to get in the field.
Problem is they're playing a team that has no flaws right now. South Carolina put their offense on full display last time out against Kentucky.
Well, we know they can score, but the reason is because they share the ball. This is a team that's averaging 19 assists per game, led by point guard Raven Johnson at 5 per game. They're selfless. They make the extra pass. They go inside to out. They pass ahead in transition. Bottom line is they get high percentage shots, and they are knocking them down.
30 assists on 38 field goals. That's a remarkable number for Dawn Staley's team. Now, Dawn gets a little bit of a reinforcement here today, and it's a big reinforcement. Kamilla Cardoso is back after missing the last 2 games. Certainly one of the candidates for Player of the Year in the SEC. Now, here is the wrinkle in this game here tonight as you take a look at Cardoso's numbers. Normally, she'd be in position to jump center right now, but right now she is behind half court getting ready to watch Arkansas shoot a couple of free throws before the opening tip.
Well, it's still a matter of you got to knock it down. As we see Samara Spencer miss that first administrative technical field goal, administrative technical that was administered.
So an administrative technical foul, because what we've been told is there was a lineup change too close to the tip for Dawn Staley's team. They haven't put the points on the board yet, but it should be a 2-0 lead for Arkansas here. Again, it's a little out of the ordinary, but we're getting ready to jump center here. So Arkansas 2, South Carolina nothing, and the opening tip is controlled by Arkansas. And now we are underway here in Fayetteville.
Well, Arkansas even set up in a defensive tip, assuming that South Carolina would get it. And right off the tip, they're trying to establish Touted from outside.
Touted is the post. She's not afraid to take it from outside, misses from the corner. The starting lineup for South Carolina does have a different look tonight. You see Taliah Fagan posting up down low. Fagan getting her first career start after coming off the bench the first 85 games of her career. That's her number 20. Cardoso getting a touch. Back out to Fagan from 15, and a good start for Taliah Fagan, averaging 7 points a game. Played very well, had a career-high 16 against Kentucky last time out.
And I asked Mike Neighbors, any adjustments going against South Carolina? He said, no, we're going to do what we do, and that's try to push tempo and try to knock down the threes.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, you try again with Touted in the corner, and she knocks it down, the first field goal for Arkansas. Good defense inside, and here comes Arkansas. They will not change their MO. They want to run. They want to attack. And it's a good start for the Razorbacks. Spencer to the basket for 2 more.
And if you're new to the Arkansas offense, Mike Neighbors wants his team to get layups, to get threes, and get to the free throw line.
Bree Hall, pow on the cut. And that's going to be a traveling violation. Makayla Daniels there defensively.
Off of the defensive stand, and that's the block by Touted. You see Samara Spencer moving over to the point guard position. No one stops ball, so she takes it coast to coast for the 2.
Touted is going to try again. And here comes Johnson. Johnson on the push, pow on the catch, and the finish.
Arkansas comes in averaging 9 made threes a game, which is great if they're making them. If not, it can lead to runouts like we just saw for South Carolina.
Sailor Poffenbarger, defender went by. Poffenbarger couldn't get it, and a rebound for Cardoso. Here's Hall on the drive for 2. Outstanding from outside the three-point line. 47% in SEC play, but getting to the basket for her first points tonight. Here's Spencer. Arkansas again playing without their leading scorer, Taliah Scott, missing her 4th straight game. Personal issues with the family. There's Daniels back out. Dowda again.
And Daniels actually had a layup opportunity there, but that's the shot blocking ability of South Carolina and how it affects you in the half court.
South Carolina leading Division I in blocks per game, better than 8 on average. Cardoso. Pow. Good read by Spencer to get in there to knock it away for Arkansas. Poffenbarger's good three-point shooter. Not this time.
Great tip out by Spencer.
Daniels open 3. Nope. Off the mark. The threes are flying here for Arkansas here in the opening minutes in Fayetteville.
Well, it's an Arkansas team that averages 33-point attempts a game, so this is on pace for them.
Pow for 3. There is the top three-point shooter in the country at 49%.
Great help side and then great recovery by Pow.
Daniels will try again for 3. Daniels, the number 3 scorer, number 2 on the active roster at 12 points a game, making her 152nd career start here today, an Arkansas record. Carly Keats out defensively on Hall. Fagan is fouled by Daniels. Well, as we know, in 2023-2024, you don't want to get into a three-point shooting contest with South Carolina.
And definitely not with Pow on the floor. As you said, the number 1 player in the nation in field goal percentage from 3. And then the extra pass by Arkansas. Daniels ready to shoot and knock it down.
Do you have a number in mind for how many Arkansas needs to make here today to have a shot against the number 1 team in the country?
Well, based on the pace already that they're shooting at, I'm going to say at least 15.
15 made threes.
15 made.
They may be at 15 attempted threes by the end of this quarter. Ashlyn Watkins into the game, getting her first 2.
And Eric, as you mentioned, a limited roster right now for Arkansas due to injury, and that's one thing we know about South Carolina, a very deep bench, averaging 31 points a game from the bench.
Really, it is quite the contrast here. Dawn Staley, National Coach of the Year twice. Keep her on the short list of candidates this year, of course. South Carolina undefeated at 27-0. Has played her available players. Usually gets everyone who's available in the first half. That's Dowda to the basket for 2. One thing we have seen from South Carolina, this is something you've talked about a few times this year when we've watched the Gamecocks. In most cases, they are not going to blow you out of the arena in the first 10 minutes of the game. They will wear you down throughout the course of the game using those numbers. You can see Arkansas hanging very tough here in the first quarter, but you always got to keep in mind it's a 40-minute game, and Mike Neighbors knows that.
Well, absolutely, and they're counters to all the plays that Dawn Staley is running, and you have to stay focused. You have to stay mentally as well as physically engaged for 40 minutes if you're going to have a chance to upset South Carolina.
Pow to the bench. Malaysia Fulwiley into the game for the first time. Here's Hall, defended by Keats. Arkansas also without Carly Johnson today, one of their rotational pieces. So Mike Neighbors dressing only 8 today. There's Watkins on the glass. The rebounding margin is going to be a number we're going to be tracking all game long in this game.
Absolutely, and more specifically, when South Carolina has the ball, Arkansas talked about it ad nauseum yesterday in their practice. The effort has to be there every time to box South Carolina out.
Dowda, she's the post, but she is a 34% three-point shooter. And she's knocked down another one. Now Spencer with the steal.
So far, Arkansas's defense has been so active and connected in the half court.
Poffenbarger off the mark. That is the 9th three-pointer attempted by Arkansas. I was joking about the 15 attempts, but maybe I was going to be pretty close to that number. That's out of bounds, and that will get us to immediate timeout. It comes with 4:12 to go in the first quarter. Good start for Arkansas here against the #1 team in the country, who has continued this amazing run that we'll talk about next. How great has South Carolina been the last 3 seasons? Let us count the ways. 98-3 overall record, 45-1 in SEC play during that period of time. Their 3rd straight regular season title was clinched at CLA last week. There's the trophy to prove it. And they've done a lot, but they've never had back-to-back perfect seasons in the SEC, which is in play here with 2 games to go in the regular season.
Eric, winning is hard. Winning consistently like Dawn Staley is doing at South Carolina is just remarkable. The sustained level of excellence. This is now the gold standard in women's basketball.
Last time out, they won at Kentucky 103-55. We showed you the 30 assists on 38 field goals. That's assisting on 79% of your field goals. As a head coach, if you were thinking like, all right, this would be a great number, a great percentage to assist on made field goals, in your wildest dreams, would you come close to 78%?
No, and I figured out what they've done on the season. It's 57% on the season as far as assisted on made field goals. It's just remarkable, and it speaks to the point guard mentality that Dawn Staley has and how the culture of this program is. It is about we over me, and it is proven throughout their offensive execution.
Did you dream of 58% in your coaching days? That happened a few times.
Adding them up together game by game.
However you get there, you can do the math, okay? You're the coach. Make it work the way you want. Here's Daniels with the kick to Carly Keats. Now Spencer, defended by Pow Pow. Good strong take, just won't drop for Sam Spencer. Now Fulwiley with numbers. Watkins on the feed from Pow Pow.
And Eric, one thing with Watkins and Sanaya Fagan in the game, they are stepping out and they are matching up with both Poffenbarger as well as Touted. So the rim is unprotected if the guards of Arkansas can get downhill and get to it and finish.
How about that move from Touted? Just won't drop. Watkins finds Fulwiley, spids in midcourt, takes it to the basket, draws some contact, can't get it to go, but on the glass is Fagan. We talked about the numbers against Kentucky, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and getting the start here today.
She's been playing really well. That was one of the first players Dawn Staley talked to me about because she said the effort's there, the focus is there, she's hunting shots, she's been good on the glass, and she's been good defensively.
I kind of think Dawn pulled a fast one on us this morning because we were here and we didn't see, there was nothing about the Fagan start that we saw during the shoot-around here today.
Well, in our defense, we were focused on Cardoso's availability after missing the last 2 games.
It's true. Kamilla back on the floor right now. As we mentioned, did not play the last 2. Dawn said they really want to ramp her up, not push the minutes here as she gets back to full speed. Fulwiley for her first 2. Coming off a 17-point game against Kentucky last time out. Spencer trying to get around Fulwiley.
Spencer does such a great job of probing once she gets in the paint, looking to set her teammates up.
Spencer with a deep 3, long rebound for Fulwiley. Emory Ellis into the game for Arkansas. Jenna Lawrence checking in as well. That's Fulwiley for 2. That's the thing with Arkansas. There is no drop-off. Raven Johnson goes out, Fulwiley comes in, or Pow Pow comes out. We haven't seen Tessa Johnson in. There is quality depth on the South Carolina team. Fulwiley, one of the headliners, gets called for the foul here, defending Spencer, who will go to the line to shoot 2.
When you talk about there being no drop-off for South Carolina when they go to the bench, it's because they have one of the most electric guards in the country. In Malaysia Fulwiley, the hesitation, the ball handling skills, the ability to hang in the air. She's a difficult matchup for anyone.
Spencer free throw ends the 8-0 run for South Carolina. You cannot blink when Sam Spencer's at the free throw line because she gets it, she steps in, not even a dribble, and she's a 74% free throw shooter.
Well, I'm not used to any Arkansas players being on the free throw line. Jenna Lawrence was staying in the lane that time. Usually the other 4 players get back and are ready for defense.
Fulwiley drops it down to Cardoso. Won't go down, but she will go to the free throw line to shoot a couple with 1:55 to go here in the first quarter. Arkansas coming off a heartbreaker here at home against Vanderbilt on Sunday. It was on senior day. They lost by 9. They fell behind by 10 in the third. They really battled back. They got into a 3-point game in the fourth, but it was a season low in points for Mike Neighbors' team. Just an odd game. On senior day, Makayla Daniels picked up a couple of tees. She was ejected with 1:44 to go into third because of the 2 tees. Dowda had a tee for Vanderbilt. Camille Pierre had a couple of tees. She was done. It was an odd senior day here. Turning the page here to take on the #1 team in the country next time out.
And I was really impressed with their practice yesterday. It was a connected team. It was a spirited practice. And again, they talked about what they needed to do today. They didn't talk about Vanderbilt. They talked about South Carolina and getting the upset here this evening.
Here's Makayla Daniels taking it against Raven Johnson. Good job by Johnson to hold her ground defensively. And back they come with Pow Pow. Johnson rattles in a 3.
I mean, be warned, the rest of America. If Raven Johnson is going to start knocking down threes like this, it's just going to be almost impossible to stop them because you have to play her because of her speed. You can give her a little space, and if she knocks them down from deep, it's just really difficult matchup.
Fulwiley into the front court. 1 minute to go in the quarter. Watkins on the drive, and a blocking foul is called on Spencer.
Well, Raven Johnson there just trails the play. Plenty of space, so she doesn't even hesitate. Knocks down the 3.
Watkins at the free throw line to shoot a couple. I know it's been one of the big stories for South Carolina this year, Christy. It's just the improvement of the three-point shooting. A team that last year shot 31% is at 40% this year, which is second in the country, which just shows you what was once a weakness is now one of their strengths.
Well, the only 2 statistical categories that is less than a year ago are points per game allowed, and that's excused because of the pace of play that South Carolina is playing at this year, and then the rebounds per game, which is explained because they're shooting the ball so well.
Johnson's going to work a little clock here. Shot clock down to 10. Fulwiley steps back for 3. That won't drop, and a rebound controlled by Jenna Lawrence. Plenty of time here for Arkansas. Hold for a final shot. Before that basket by Keats, Arkansas had missed 8 straight field goal attempts. So it'd be a good way to end the quarter if they can get this one to drop. Spencer drains it. Good response by Arkansas. They went cold in the corner. South Carolina went on a run, but it's a 4-point game at the end of 1.
Well, if you're going to get the upset, Eric, your point guard's got to come to play. Samara Spencer raises up and knocks down a huge 3 for the Razorbacks. Welcome back to Arkansas, where this is the SEC leading three-point shooting team. Why? Because they're putting up 30 a game, but more importantly in this game, they've already hit 4. Miriam Dowda with 2 made threes. You've got Samara Spencer with 1, and of course, Makayla Daniels also getting in on the action.
Arkansas needs it. 4-point game. You can see where they are in the net, 65, strength of schedule, top 50, but struggling down the stretch here, and Charlie Cream has them in that next 4 out. But there's a lot of company there on that bubble in the SEC right now.
Absolutely, and I actually asked Charlie Cream earlier today, what does Arkansas need to do to get in the field? And he said, well, the good news is there's a lot of opportunity in front of them. Starts with South Carolina tonight. Their performance tonight could go a long way with the committee. Have Ole Miss on Sunday. And then a number of other bubble teams are in the SEC. Vanderbilt, Auburn, as well as Texas A&M that they may have the opportunity to play come SEC tournament.
Well, Arkansas had a lead there in the first quarter before the ball was tipped in the air thanks to administrative tech, but hung in there after South Carolina went on a run. South Carolina had not trailed in 9 consecutive quarters since that Georgia game where they came from behind after trailing at halftime. Watkins knocks it away, and here is Ashlyn Watkins. Spencer sprints back on defense, but Watkins glides to the basket for the 2.
Well, Spencer already with 1 foul, so smartly there just tries to alter Watkins' shot, but Watkins just too good when she gets that deep.
Here's Carly Keats. Spins up one, can't get it, and Watkins on the glass for her 3rd rebound already.
And I'll say it again, the Arkansas guards are going to have to finish at the rim. Right now, the bigs of South Carolina are coming out of the paint to defend, so it's open, but they're not converting consistently once they get to the rim.
Johnson, a little bit of a corkscrew as it came off her hand, so she missed the mark, and it'll be Arkansas basketball. Did you mention 4 for 13 from 3? Did you throw out the numbers that they were too short of that 15 attempts that we joked about?
Too short of the number you did. Above the number that I gave. I said 15, and they're on pace, obviously, for 16. But this is what we're used to with Arkansas. In years past, they were letting those threes fly and knocking them down. The three-point percentage is down compared to previous years, but they're still putting them up.
Pow with the rebounds. Defended by Keats. Chloe Kitts into the game. Kitts trying to move inside on Poffenbarger. Good, strong finish by Chloe Kitts. Normally in the starting lineup, but off the bench here today for South Carolina.
Just another weapon for Dawn Staley. Already 18 paint points for South Carolina.
Dowda trying the bank 3 this time. She's now 2 for 7 from outside the arc. Watkins on the turnaround. Kitts fighting inside, ties it up, and it will stay with South Carolina. Arkansas has scored 22 in the first quarter, just the 4th time this year that South Carolina's given up 20 or more in the first quarter. That's Poffenbarger on the bump. That's going to be her 2nd personal foul. We talked about it before. Only 8 dressed for Arkansas today, so they do not have depth. They don't have a margin for error, and they watch their leading rebounder go to the bench with 2 personal fouls. Pow. Lawrence in, the freshman for Poffenbarger. Kitts, soft touch, knocking it down for 2 more.
Well, we obviously don't know why there was a change in the starting lineup, but Chloe Kitts is definitely responding coming off the bench right now.
There's Johnson with the deflection into the hands of Pow. 2-on-2 back the other way. Johnson can't get that to drop, and a rebound for Lawrence, but needs a little help. Finally finds it with Spencer. Spencer can fly. Gets into the front court quickly. Daniels defended by Hall. Gets the screen, now takes it to the basket, and then taken away by Watkins. What a great defensive play by Ashlyn Watkins. South Carolina can't turn it into points, and here's Daniels.
Well, you're seeing when South Carolina puts up a shot, they're shading the rebounder. When Arkansas gets it, it's slowing Arkansas's transition game down.
Keats off the mark, and Pow will slow things down for South Carolina.
And this is the thing about South Carolina. They can obviously get out and run, but they're also excellent in the half court in terms of executing.
Pow for 3. Nope. Another rebound for Lawrence.
That was a great box out by Jenna Lawrence.
She's got 4 rebounds. Comes in averaging 2 points and 2 rebounds a game in 8 minutes a game. She will play more than 8 minutes tonight, I would say. Johnson to Kitts. Kitts, beautiful move in the post by Chloe Kitts. 6 quick points off the bench.
3 of 3 from the field already. Again, this is what you want to see if you're a head coach. For whatever reason you want, if you're not starting, you want to see them come off the bench and respond. And that's what Chloe Kitts has done here this afternoon. Evening, I guess now.
We're at the time of the year, late February. As a matter of fact, leap day, the end of February, the last day of February, day that only comes around once every 4 years, where you're tired. Spencer's got a launch from half court. That's inside of from where Sailor Poffenbarger hit to beat the buzzer at halftime against Vandy on Sunday.
Chloe Kitts is making her presence felt. The little up and under just goes right by Jenna Walker for the kiss off the glass.
Kitts 3 for 3 from the field, also has 2 rebounds to go along with her 6 points. Tessa Johnson into the game. Fulwiley back on the floor. Cardoso checks back in. So yet another look here for South Carolina. Kitts, Cardoso goes to the basket. So good at spinning things in. Excellent at sticking with it on the glass.
And that's the thing about Cardoso. Even if she misses the first one, you have to be so disciplined to get that first box out as soon as she lets go of the ball. Otherwise, she's already into that rebound putback.
Spencer. There's Kitts. She's been everywhere so far, and a collision, Kitts and Spencer. And the foul's going to be on Chloe Kitts, who goes over to help up Spencer.
Well, Eric, already 6 offensive rebounds for the Gamecocks, converting that into 8 points. This time, Cardoso with her own miss and putback.
South Carolina's outscored Arkansas 10-0 here in the quarter. Arkansas is playing their backsides off. Sam Spencer leading the charge. So take a look at the top 7 in the SEC. All right, now it's interesting because Alabama is 9-6. Tennessee's 10-5. Alabama has the tiebreak for Tennessee. We were there in Tuscaloosa on Sunday. Very impressive win for Alabama against Mississippi State. They had players in foul trouble today. They pulled it out against Florida. If they win and Tennessee can't knock off South Carolina, Alabama would be the number 4 seed and get the double bye.
Absolutely. I mean, a big game for Alabama when they go to Texas A&M on Sunday. And as you mentioned, Tennessee at number 1 South Carolina this Sunday. Still a lot to play for all these teams.
South Carolina playing for an undefeated season in the SEC. LSU playing right now. If they win, they will lock up the number 2 seed. Ole Miss mathematically still alive for that number 2 seed. They will need help with LSU falling in the next couple of games and Ole Miss winning again, but Ole Miss is locked up at least the number 3. Here's Ellis. That's Cardoso on the perimeter with the block. Shot clock down to 1. Daniels has to launch. Offensive rebound for Lawrence.
Eric, you mentioned Cardoso missing the last 2 games just to rest. And that play alone, she stopped the drive of Makayla Daniels and then got back out to not only contest but get the block on Ellis's 3-point attempt.
Keats on the drive has it knocked away, picked up by Fagan. Here's Pow Pow. Fulwiley for 3. Can't get it. That's Fagan turning around, and she gets fouled, and she'll go to the free throw line to shoot 2. Well, you mentioned for Kamilla Cardoso, rest because she was in her native Brazil with the Brazilian national team playing in 3 Olympic qualifier games. She came back, played a couple of games. You talk about someone burning the candle on both ends, and I think South Carolina just came to realization, and Kamilla communicated as well. It's like, I could just use a minute here. I've been on the go. Lots of traffic, travel, lots of basketball.
Well, she had a little tightness, and I always say this about Dawn Staley. She builds for April. And so no need right now. She's got quality depth. Give her a couple of days to just recover, rejuvenate, and get ready for this stretch run that we know what's important to South Carolina, and that's cutting down those nets in Cleveland. Probably cutting them down in Greenville, too, in a week. But
it is interesting because they go home to take on Tennessee, as you mentioned, on Sunday. Then it's off to Greenville for the SEC tournament. Their first game would be Friday. And then rounds 1 and 2 of the NCAA tournament in Columbia. So they've got a lot of games where they don't leave the States coming up over the next couple of weeks. Entry pass, that's going to be Dauda on the foul before the shot. That's the first on Dauda.
I thought the 2 players that have to stay on the floor for Arkansas today were Touted and Poffenbarger. Poffenbarger already on the bench with her two. Important for Touted to stay on the floor.
Pow launches a three. Second three for Te-Hina Pow. She's got 8. Keats. Pow sticking with her, and Keats fights through to get the basket and the foul.
We talked about how difficult it is to defend South Carolina, because if you go in to help it all, that leaves great three-point shooters. Not just great, the best three-point field goal shooter in the country. But then you got to love Carly Cleats with the reverse, with the crossover, getting downhill and getting to the rim for the and one.
Keats in her first season with Arkansas played at Jones College, missed time with a concussion. You can see with the mask on that came from a broken nose. That was on January 28th, missed 4. By the sounds of it, a lot of other players would have missed more than 4, but Carly's got some toughness about her, and she is there defensively to knock it away. Arkansas ball.
I mean, the coaching staff just loves Carly Cleats. Her demeanor, her response, not only to injury, but just in the game, she's unflappable.
Inside of 3 minutes to go in the first half. Keats working with Touted.
The pace of the movement in the half court for Arkansas has started to slow a little bit. They've played so hard to this point. How much they have in the tank for the rest of this game?
You can see Poffenbarger back on the floor for Arkansas, playing with the 2 fouls. Went to the bench with 7:48 to go in this quarter with that second personal. Cardoso inside, can't get it to go. And here's Spencer.
Touted using her length to alter some of these shots of the bigs of South Carolina.
Spencer is fouled by Johnson, and she'll go to the free throw line. Well, when you look at Arkansas and you talk about just the minutes they've played in the SEC rankings, Spencer's number 1. She's been battling. She came out of the game a few moments ago just to catch her breath. Daniels is 3rd in minutes played per game. Poffenbarger's 8th. So you got 3 in the top 10. And that doesn't include Taliah Scott, who doesn't qualify because she's played less than 75% of the Arkansas games.
Well, and Makayla Daniels is 80 years old at this point. She's been here so long. So I'm going to give her a break.
That's an exaggeration.
It is.
She's not a day over 70 in college basketball years.
Her minutes should have an asterisk because she's defending the best perimeter player game in and game out for the opponent. And then Poffenbarger playing on extremely bad legs right now. They're saying she needs rest, doesn't even practice during the week just so she's game ready.
It really is quite the contrast when you take a look at Arkansas and you saw the mega numbers that their rotational pieces have to put up, and then you have a South Carolina team. I'm going to venture a guess that their leader in minutes per game is around 26. You want to give a guess on that one?
Is that a guess because you already went
No, I
through
don't
the
know that
stats?
answer. The answer is 27. Pow is averaging 27 minutes a game. Johnson at 28 minutes a game.
And again, this is what I mean when I say Dawn Staley's building for April. She wants her players game ready. So when they get a lead, even when they don't have the lead, she is putting players in, looking at lineups, looking at how they respond in different situations.
Daniels goes to the basket for 2. You saw Fulwiley pick up her second personal foul, so she goes to the bench for South Carolina. Johnson to Watkins.
Great.
Ashlyn Watkins with 11 points.
Sorry, great pass by Tessa Johnson. Not used to her putting the ball on the floor there. Pulled the weak side, pulled that defender, and that's why Watkins was open.
8 assists for South Carolina on the 18 field goals. There's Touted. She has had a very busy first half. She is 4 for 10 from the field, 2 for 7 from outside the three-point line. She's got a team-high 10 points. That is the three-pointer from the freshman Johnson, 44% from beyond the three-point line. Both teams have made 4 threes. It's taken Arkansas 11 more attempts to get there. Poffenbarger, good find, down on the cut. Shot clock is off. Johnson will hold for 1. On the lob, Watkins. Raven Johnson just waited and waited for the moment and then found Ashlyn Watkins, who had 13 points on 6 of 9 shooting.
It's just an example of how players make plays, and that's what Dawn Staley stresses to her team. Take what the defense gives you, and Ashlyn Watkins is feasting right now.
South Carolina outscored Arkansas 21-9 in that second quarter. Number 1 team in the country, up 16 at halftime, Alyssa. We're back at Fayetteville, University of Arkansas, just about ready for the start of the second half. South Carolina, number 1 team in the country, on top by 16 as we get ready for the third quarter. Eric Free, Christy Thomas-Cuddy back with you here at Bud Walton Arena. You look at the scoreboard, and it's a 16-point game. And Arkansas did a lot of good things, especially in that first quarter, but you have to do it for 40 minutes against South Carolina, and that's just almost impossible to do right now.
Well, especially when you're limited with only 8 players in uniform tonight for Arkansas. But to your point, I thought they executed offensively. They were so active defensively, but that second quarter, it was just the wear-down effect of South Carolina.
Yeah, the bench points will tell the story. You'll see that in a minute, but take us through some of those first half highlights, Christy.
Well, we talked about how good South Carolina is in the half court. Well, they're getting high percentage. Look, 24 paint points, and it was the bigs majority, but the guards also got in on the action. They got second chance opportunities in the paint. They were just good at sharing the ball, spacing the floor, and finishing at the rim.
Just some of the numbers in the first half, and I take your attention to the bench points. Third column there, South Carolina 26-0, and as Christy just mentioned, there's not much bench for South Carolina today, just with 8 players dressed, but I will give them credit because I thought Jenna Lawrence played hard and did well in that first half. Emery Ellis gave them some minutes. They're doing what they can, but when you're a little limited, that's not the best way to play the number 1 team in the country. It is Arkansas possession to start the half. Keats off the mark, and here's Johnson up ahead to Bree Hall. For Pow Pow. Fagan on the drive, tried to make the extra pass down to Cardoso, and it was knocked out of bounds by Douda. 13 to shoot for South Carolina. Both teams did a good job taking care of the basketball in the first half. South Carolina with 4 turnovers, Arkansas with 5. And just as I say that, why do you say such things when you know what's going to happen? Turnover.
Well, we talked about how South Carolina's improved from the three-point range. Remember probably like 4 years ago where Dawn Staley would say she wanted her team to shoot it before they turned it over? Well, that's not an issue for South Carolina. I mean, mine is when you jinx them with like that last possession, but they're doing such a good job this year of taking care of the ball, sharing the ball, spreading the wealth. Just a difficult matchup for opponents.
Douda, that's pretty. Douda, one of the bright spots in that first half for Arkansas. Led the team with 12 points, add to it. Now with 14 on 6 of 12 shooting.
Well, I think Miriam Douda has been a bright spot for this Arkansas lineup this entire season. She's improved from 3. She's staying on the floor. Her shot blocking ability has impacted the defense for the Razorbacks as well.
Cardoso, Douda will try from the outside. She knew she had that. Off her hand, she saw the rotations. She started jogging up the court like she was Steph Curry.
Yesterday they went through a lot of sets where Miriam Douda was going to be lag or be in a spot to shoot the 3, and she didn't take one of them. And Makayla Daniels went to her immediately and said, "You're going to make those tomorrow night. Be ready."
So Douda with 17 points. She is 3 of 8 from outside the three-point line. She's 4 for 5 inside the arc. Douda is 1 shy of her career high, 18 against Mizzou. Once Kamilla Cardoso gets it that deep, it is over.
Well, Douda, as good as she is, just doesn't have the strength to push Cardoso out of the paint, and that was obvious on that last one. Cardoso was able to get the position and score.
Spencer lost the handle. Cardoso running the floor, kept it in play for Hall, who makes a nice move to the basket. Give Kamilla Cardoso a lot of credit. She is a big who gets down the floor quickly.
And again, that is the reputation of Cardoso as a rim protector, that Makayla Daniels pulls the ball out there instead of challenging her at the goal.
Poffenbarger to the basket. Held scoreless in the first half, picked up a couple of fouls early in that second quarter, so she's on the board. Cardoso moving inside for two.
We talked about how well Miriam Dowda has done offensively, but let's also face the fact she has defended 4 different players in the low post today. Now Cardoso has her feel for her defensively and is going to work in the paint.
And those 4 players are named Kamilla Cardoso, Ashlyn Watkins, Chloe Kitts, and Sanaya Fagan. 4 pretty good players.
Very good players that all have a different style to their game.
Somehow, some way, that drops in for Carly Keats. And right away, she signals to the bench that she needs to come out of the game. But how did this one go in? Mike Neighbors may be asking the same thing. Let's take a moment here because this is top 10 material right here.
I mean, Carly Keats has game, plain and simple. Just flips it up. I think she was expecting a foul to be called even, and unfortunately for the Razorbacks, she immediately points to that ankle and is headed up back to the locker room. So that short bench of 8 just dropped to 7.
Here's Watkins to the basket. South Carolina having another great shooting night because they're getting high percentage shots like that drive by Ashlyn Watkins.
And that's the 3rd time that South Carolina has been able to exploit the drop coverage of the Razorbacks with that short roll, and it's been Ashlyn Watkins who's really been the beneficiary of it.
15 to Watkins. Pow Pow can't get the 3. I think she thought she had it.
I thought she had it.
Jenna Lawrence. Back out to Poffenbarger. Dowda. Spencer on the drive. The kick. Lawrence will try a 3 and make it. Jenna Lawrence makes her 9th three-pointer of the season. She played 3 minutes against Vandy last time out. Did not score. Her role's bigger tonight because Arkansas shorthanded. And she delivers. Bree Hall open 3. That won't drop. Hall followed it. Fagan picks it up. Daniels is the one who has the rebound. Daniels kicks it over. Spencer wide open 3. Johnson, entry, Fagan. 2 more paint points for South Carolina.
We'll credit Raven Johnson for that. Before the ball even hit her hand, she saw where Sanaya Fagan was compared to her defender and led her to the rim for those 2.
Spencer has it tipped, picked up by Raven Johnson. Johnson drops it off for Hall. Fagan. Johnson drives the lane. Nope. And a foul is called. A blocking foul on Arkansas. That's going to be Spencer, who's helped off the floor, picks up the personal. 2 free throws when we come back to Fayetteville.
Well, South Carolina picking up where they left off with great selfless passing. Fagan this time getting in on the action.
Top 4 seeds getting the coveted double buys. Christy and I spent a good portion of halftime doing the math. The top 5 teams are set. South Carolina, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama are in the top 5. Their positioning is not set. South Carolina's, they're set. LSU with a win and they're up by 22, they'd be set. Ole Miss would then be the number 3 seed. It's very interesting with Tennessee and Alabama. Tennessee is right now in 4th place. Alabama is right now in 5th place. Tennessee plays South Carolina. Alabama, help me.
Texas A&M.
Plays Texas A&M. So if Tennessee loses and Alabama wins, they would be tied, but Alabama has a tiebreaker, so they would have the double bye as the number 4 seed.
Yeah, with Alabama's win tonight against Florida, they are assured of no lower than a 5 seed come next week in Greenville. We know the bottom 3 seeds for sure, but everything else is still in play in the SEC.
Kentucky, Georgia, and Missouri are in that 12, 13, 14. They're still jostling for the team that avoids that Wednesday first day opening round. Florida right now in 11th place, but they own the head-to-head with Texas A&M and with Arkansas. Arkansas at 6-8 right now. A&M lost today. They're 6-9. There's Chloe Kitts down the lane for 2.
South Carolina now up to 38 paint points in this game.
One other note when you talk about the big picture, Vanderbilt with a strong fourth quarter, won at Mizzou tonight. So Vandy is 8-7. Right now, they're in 6th place in the SEC standings. Great turnaround for Shea Ralph and her Commodores team. Great finish. Kitts to Fulwiley for 2. 7 unanswered points for South Carolina.
And Eric, we started this broadcast talking about the 30 assists South Carolina had against Kentucky, already up to 16 in this game.
Poffenbarger can't get the 3. Johnson's got the rebound. Up ahead quickly till Fulwiley. Fulwiley for Johnson. Watkins on the drive. Muscles it in for 2 and the foul. Ashlyn Watkins having another big game for South Carolina.
And by big, we mean her 16th and 17th point. Just does a little bit of a body fake, and then with her explosiveness, gets by the defender, gets to the rim, and now is getting to the free throw line.
Watkins now 8 of 11 from the field tonight. No one for South Carolina is going to have a statistically dominant game when you take a look at, like, Honesty Scott Grayson tonight had 32 points for Auburn, one of those kind of nights. But they are dominant in their own way, and everyone has an opportunity to contribute. And we're watching Watkins tonight just with that 3-point play, making some big plays. Kitts has been good off the bench today.
What I like to say is that South Carolina players, they dominate in their role. They know their role. They're selfless. They work to get the best shot. As we see the extra pass there for Tessa Johnson in the corner, that's the part that I don't think Dawn Staley gets enough credit for, the culture that she has created. I was talking to Mike Neighbors yesterday, and I said, hey, I think this South Carolina team is better than they were a year ago. And Mike said, yes, they are. And he said, that started last year. You lose 5 seniors, and yet the core stays here because they believe in what Dawn is saying. They believe in championships. And you see what this new lineup is able to do here this season.
Mike, of course, very complimentary to what South Carolina has done. He said our scouting report, usually when you draw it up, you point out the weaknesses that another team has because you want to exploit those weaknesses. That page was blank on the scout for Arkansas looking at South Carolina.
Well, Todd Schaefer yesterday was like, listen, ladies, you have to have great effort on the box out. He said, I'm going to be honest with you. Even if you all box out, you may not still get the rebound. But I guarantee you if you don't have great effort, you will not get the rebound. And that speaks to just how good this South Carolina team is.
South Carolina a plus 17 in rebounding margin at the moment. Here's Keats. Good to see her back on the floor. That's off a foot. Fulwiley and Keats battling for it. Deflected to the backcourt. Keats on the pull-up. Good save by Johnson to Watkins. Fulwiley weaving through traffic. And that's going to be a turnover. Tessa Johnson. Well, you know, just back to your point about South Carolina, I think when you want to know how good this team has been and how good this program is right now, I think you look at the names Boston, Beal, Cook, Saxton, and Fletcher. What does that mean? That was the starting 5 in the Final Four last year for South Carolina. And to come back a year later without any of your starting five that went to a Final Four, and in what you talked about with Mike Neighbors, a team that is better than they were last year, that's pretty damn impressive.
And the thing is, it's the versatility of the players. It's the versatility of how they can play you, both offensively and defensively. We talked about the three-point shooting. We've talked about the paint points. You've got bigs who can step out and consistently make the 17-footer. You've got a freshman who can knock it down from deep in Tessa Johnson.
Second three for Johnson. Closing in on a minute to go in the quarter. Lawrence buries a three.
I'll say this, any coach loves to see a player who practices well, perform well in the game, and that's what Jenna Lawrence did yesterday in practice. And Mike Neighbors said, we need more of that tomorrow, and Jenna Lawrence has provided that for the Razorbacks here this evening.
I'll say 6 points, 6 rebounds for Lawrence. Fulwiley is fouled on the drive. She'll go shoot a couple. Keats picks up the personal. One thing that you've noticed here sitting courtside, just watching these Arkansas players, because they have played hard, that they, just because they've had to play extended minutes, they just don't have a lot in the tank right now. But I think they've given South Carolina the best shot they can here today with those limited numbers.
Absolutely, and their execution has been good. I think it speaks to just how good South Carolina is. Again, player for player, you're undersized practically. Arkansas is, but they've used their speed, they've used their connectivity. They've been harassing when they've been really well, when they've done well defensively. It's just you're seeing a lot of Razorback players right now breathing hard on the floor.
Before I forget here, Marlisha Fulwiley, her footwear today, I mean, you can't miss it right there. Is this her saying, you know, tomorrow is the start of meteorological spring, March 1st.
It's her ode to the pastel March.
That is like the spring look, trying to say goodbye to winter.
From what I can understand, because I've asked a couple of people.
You've done your research on shoes?
It's shoe game, so of course I did. She has an NIL deal with Under Armour where she gets special shoes every game. Last week we saw the workman boots because they were brown. This week we had the pastel.
Daniels with the three.
And before you ask, you couldn't pull that pair of shoes off.
You'd be surprised. I'm willing to give it a shot. Final seconds for Pow Pow. Here is Fulwiley. In and out. Tipped in the hands of Keats, who will launch at the buzzer off the mark, and that will do it for the third quarter. South Carolina, it's got to be the shoes. On top by 20 as we head to the fourth in Fayetteville.
Welcome back to Arkansas. We've spoken a couple of times now about the culture that has been built at South Carolina. Well, it extends to the entire staff. This entire season, the staff works out on game day, home or away. The unique part of it is on the road. They are in hotel workout rooms getting in their workout. I asked specifically this morning, they had 13 staff members in a small workout room. The director of women's basketball performance, Molly Bonetti, puts together a specific workout based on what they have available in each workout room as they travel. And she said 4 to 5 exercises, 4 rounds, total body workout. And she says then they run the rack. This is what you got to get on, Eric. Run the rack means they go up every set of weights in the workout room, 5 reps of bicep curls.
All right, a couple things. One, I've tried. My key card doesn't work. There's just something. I keep going to the front desk. They can't fix it, so I can't get into the workout room. Number 2, does this mean that you've seen it firsthand? Have you participated? Are they taking machines and racks and weights away from you?
Not away, because they end every workout with a Tabata. They do 8 sprints, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. And I was doing my leisurely stroll one day on the treadmill next as they all blew by me sprinting on the treadmill. So, yes, I have seen this firsthand. And Dawn Staley is very active in these workouts on game day.
Cardoso with the first points of the quarter. Keats will go to the free throw line to shoot 2. I think my biggest question of all, after we saw that series of photos, what is Dawn's pose? I mean, I know she's a Hall of Famer. She do whatever she wants, but like, is chewing on the shirt collar her signature workout look?
I'm just saying that I'm thinking she ran the rack. She pumps some iron, and you know what? At this point, Dawn Staley can do what she wants. I was humbled. I'm just going to say that. The day I witnessed the workout, I was humbled to watch them, and I felt 80 years old.
1 of 2 at the line for Keats, and here comes Pow Pow across half court. Defended by Daniels. Cardoso with the skip to Hall. Watkins on the cut. Tough pass for her to handle. Razorbacks will take over. Spencer.
They got the mismatch they want with Touted down low.
Against Johnson. Touted. Took a step too many. Maybe 2 steps too many. It'll be South Carolina ball.
You got to respect Tessa Johnson not giving up the ground there. Arkansas trying to ice the on-ball screens, meaning they don't want to let the on-ball, the ball handler use the on-ball screen. That time leads to a turnover.
So back-to-back turnovers for South Carolina. See what Arkansas can do with it. Daniels across half court. Makayla, number 5 on the all-time scoring lists. Here's Lawrence. Touted will try. Batted around, picked up by Watkins.
And you saw 4 Arkansas players getting back in transition, and it doesn't matter as Watkins gets to the rim.
Effortless to the basket. 21 for Ashlyn Watkins. Lawrence, said it before, she showed no fear tonight.
Well, Mike Neighbors told his players today, don't turn down an open shot. Be shot ready, and that's what Jenna Lawrence has done, as well as Tessa Johnson.
Tessa Johnson knocks down her 3rd three-pointer. Watkins has the rebound. Watkins has a career high in scoring. She's over the 20-point mark for the first time in her career. 16 was her previous career high. And a substitution here as South Carolina will take a timeout. That means we'll take the timeout as well. 7:31 to go in the 4th.
Eric, 4 Arkansas players getting back. Ashlyn Watkins, the post player, just accelerates, keeps the ball away from the defender for the kiss off the glass. Welcome back to Fayetteville, where Ashlyn Watkins has just been putting on a show. 21 points, 11 boards for her 8th double-double of the season. She's been good off the bounce. She's moved without the ball. She's attacked the offensive glass, and she's just been crafty when she's been able to get downhill and get to the rim and finish.
Career high 21 points. She has a double-double, 21 points, 11 rebounds. That is her 8th double-double this year and the 10th of her 2-year South Carolina career. Game summary, 9 different players scoring. Point to the paint, big edge for South Carolina. Of course, a big edge in paint points and that career high for the sophomore from Columbia. Looks like her day is done with the 21 and 11 here tonight on the road against Arkansas. You know, it's interesting talking to Dawn Staley today about Ashlyn Watkins and just all the little things you like to talk about a team that's undefeated, number 1 in the country, the things they do well, and communication. Improved communication is a big piece, and Dawn Staley talked about the communication for that young woman right there, how it's improved. And the communication isn't just like yelling in the paint like where you should go defensively. These are the things that Dawn's talking about, the things she hears on the bench or at practice or walking on the sideline during a workout. Those little things is what kind of triggers, and Dawn Staley said that she's emerging as a really strong communicator and someone using her voice a little bit more.
Well, we've known Ashlyn Watkins as being a rim protector, so good defensively. And I go back to Aaliyah Boston, and why South Carolina was so good defensively is because you had a post player who can see everything and get everybody where they need to go. So I do believe Dawn is building Ashlyn Watkins for being that next great, just solid defender for the Gamecocks.
Poffenbarger knocks it down for 2. 4 points for Poffenbarger, who's been struggling with fouls here tonight. And that's going to be a traveling violation. Sakima Walker with the turnover. Well, this is going to be a silly question. If you're Dawn Staley and you're getting ready for SEC tournament, you still got Tennessee coming up next game, and the NCAA tournament, and you want to make a run, well, you'll be the favorite to win a 3rd national championship. What needs to be cleaned up for South Carolina? Anything?
Well, I asked on that. I said, you're 1 game away or 2 games away from postseason now. And she said, listen, we're not perfect. We still have room for improvement. What I like is that every one of my players continue to get better game in and game out. And she singled out Sakima Walker. She goes, hasn't played a lot of minutes, but she has stayed ready. And she said her minutes against Georgia are probably why, and that was in the first half, why we beat them. Because she came in and showed me some things that we could do as far as adjustments go.
Johnson, pretty release on the 3. That's her 4th 3-pointer tonight in 5 attempts. She's got 12. Is there anything you see that perhaps is something that South Carolina needs to do a little bit better if they're going to make a run into April?
I don't know that it's better. We talked during one of the breaks in the second quarter where I just felt like South Carolina's body blow to Arkansas throughout that first half. And then the second half is when they put the punch in because they've got the body. They've got the bodies to throw at people as Poffenbarger picks up her 5th foul. And so I think maybe just quicker starts. And it's not like they're starting slow right now. Again, that's me getting greedy and looking almost for perfection from the Gamecocks.
Here's Bree Hall. And on the drive, Hall is fouled. I think the question that a lot of people ask, and it's answered night after night by South Carolina, is how do you keep all these good players happy? There's one basketball. There's only 5 players allowed on the court at one time. I think that may be what Dawn's done the best with this team. Just checking the egos at the door, playing selfless, playing together.
And it's really fun to watch them practice because there's joy in the gym, the laughs, the smiles. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a serious focusness from that coaching staff. But the players take that and they push one another. There was a lot of smack talking today in shoot-around because they all want to be great. That's why they come to South Carolina. That's why they play for Dawn Staley. They want to play at the next level, and that's a byproduct of what Dawn Staley has created in Columbia, is that these players are graduating and they're pro-ready.
How much of that smack talk was delivered by Dawn Staley herself?
Well, she set the tone as soon as they walked in the gym. And she backed it up. I probably should say that as well.
Closing in on 5 minutes to go. Kitts into double figures with 10 for South Carolina. Fulwiley trying to defend Spencer. And here's Fulwiley. Fulwiley in the open court. Fun to watch. Takes it all away and gets the 2.
And then just does a little flex to her teammates on the bench. And we talked about South Carolina players keep getting better. Defensive effort by Fulwiley in the last month has just been phenomenal.
Fulwiley gets a hand in on Touted to get the steal and gets it back. One-on-one Spencer. Going to make Fulwiley take it back out. You are not going to fill up your highlight reel against me, says Sam Spencer. And then Fulwiley buries a 3.
I asked Dawn Staley today specifically about Fulwiley, and she says she's a work in progress. But she says she keeps getting better, and she says what fuels her is she doesn't want to look bad. So if she makes mistakes, she's going to make up for it in that very next play.
Fagan with the rebound off to Johnson. Chloe Kitts wasn't ready for that pass. Daniels Shut off by Kitts. Back out to Douda. Walker on the D, gets the arm, and 2 free throws coming up for Douda when we come back to Bud Walton Arena.
It's been the Fulwiley show the last couple plays, and she has started with her defense, disrupting, getting the steals, and then getting out in transition for the layup as well as the 3.
Final top 16 reveal for the NCAA tournament from the NCAA committee came earlier tonight. No surprise, of course, at number 1, South Carolina. Ohio State, Stanford, UCLA, the top 4 seeds. There you see 1 through 8, USC in a battle right now with Arizona. LSU, the second SEC team in that top 16. Any surprises for you?
No, I mean, again, for me, we know a lot's going to shake out next week come tournament time. And so no major surprises for me. I mean, Gonzaga, it's nice to see a mid-major get rewarded for the season they've had.
How about the setup right now for Regional 1, Regional 2, and those 2 SEC teams and the teams that they projected at the moment? Like you said, a lot's going to change. But for right now, on February 29th, on Leap Day, this is the snapshot.
I just think the committee has a sense of humor with Iowa and South Carolina being in the same regional.
I don't think Iowa and South Carolina think it's very funny.
No, without a doubt. As a fan, I would love to see a rematch of that.
Douda goes to the bench after making a couple of free throws. 19 for Douda. That's a new career high. So she had scored that career high earlier this season against Mizzou of 18.
Chloe Kitts getting called for an illegal screen.
Inside of 3.5 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter in Fayetteville. South Carolina will improve to 28-0 on the season. 1 game to go in SEC play. They'll be 15-0 heading into the matchup with Tennessee.
I think on the flip side of that, Arkansas has a big game on Sunday at Ole Miss.
Turnaround by Christina Sanchez-Sakea into the game for Arkansas is off the mark. Yeah, talk a little bit more about that last game of the regular season before SEC tournament play for Arkansas.
I mean, Charlie Cream right now has Arkansas as the next 4 teams out, and we know Ole Miss is in the field right now. So, again, it's another opportunity for Arkansas to try to inch their way up in the bubble talk. And I do like that matchup because I think Arkansas is a very disruptive defensive team, a tall team, player for player. And that's why I think this is a good matchup with the guard play of Arkansas. No, recent history says it'll be a heck of a game on Sunday.
4 o'clock Eastern time here on the SEC Network. Arkansas in Oxford. Fulwiley at the line. I think you saw a little example there a moment ago. Fulwiley had a little highlight reel move, couldn't finish, but went after her rebound, went and got it, wanted to do something to kind of flush the moment that didn't work just a second before. Kayla Daniels on the bench. She's played her final regular season home game here in Fayetteville. Career game number 152 tonight, all 152 in the starting 5 for Arkansas.
And I do want to take this moment to just give Makayla Daniels her flowers. This is a young lady, came in as a freshman and started and was still defending the best player on the opponent's team and was the table setter for a really good Razorback team and never flinched in her role, and it just continued to expand it year after year. And she's been one of my favorite players to cover in the SEC.
Well, she's had some great highlights, some great memories. That buzzer beater against Vandy here last year stands out. I think the number that Makayla would be proudest of, and I think you talk about giving flowers, 97 wins in her career at Arkansas. It's a pretty damn good number right there.
I mean, she elevated this program, and I just can't say enough about how selfless she has done it. Her quiet leader wants to lead by example, but she's a young lady who I knew Arkansas had a chance to win every night because she was on the floor.
Gone for 20 or more 17 times in her career. All-time games played leader at Arkansas. Closing in on 2 minutes to go here in the fourth. Keats for two.
In so many ways, I'm wondering if Keats can be that next Makayla Daniels. And what I mean by that is she's got the ball handling skills. She's got the scoring ability. I think this offseason will be critical for her to get a little bit stronger. I see her explosiveness improving as well, but she's got game already.
Keats knocks it away from Kitts. Fulwiley for three. Johnson with the rebound. Fulwiley spinning and feeding it to Kitts, who couldn't hold on to it. One thing you've learned watching Malaysia Fulwiley so far in her career, you got to be ready for a pass to come from a place and a position that you would not normally expect it to come from.
I mean, just in the games I've covered of Fulwiley, I'm going to say there's at least 5 turnovers where posters weren't ready. She's going to get the turnovers, unfortunately, but that's where you just see that the more they play together, the more and more she's going to be setting the table for her bigs.
Spencer at the free throw line. She's into double figures with 10. Dowda leading the way for Arkansas with a career high 19 tonight. Keats into double figures with 11. Spencer with 11. Daniels with 10. Fulwiley gets another one to drop.
Defensively, Arkansas was in the spots they wanted to be. Just even a better one-on-one move by Fulwiley.
15 points for the freshman. Fulwiley with the steal, and she'll go in with the left hand. And Malaysia Fulwiley does not stop.
Well, we talked about the drive of Malaysia Fulwiley and how good she wants to be. You just see the slight in-out move that freezes the post player that allows her to get to the rim.
Keats off the mark. Kitts with the rebound. Back to Johnson. South Carolina will wrap up the regular season at home against Tennessee, noon Eastern time. That's Walker inside. Walker with 4. Everyone for South Carolina has played. Everyone has scored at least 4 points tonight. They've put 98 on the board. Spencer back out for 3. That's going to be off the mark. And the time will wind down. It's another win for South Carolina. Now 15-0 in the SEC, 28-0 overall. They win on the road again, impressively against Arkansas, 98-61 the final.
Another great team win by South Carolina, as evidenced by the 64 bench points that they put up tonight.
They shared the wealth. Ashlyn Watkins has the headline, though. A career-high 21 points and 11 rebounds in leading South Carolina to a 98-61 win. For Christy Thomascotti and our crew, I'm Eric Freed. That's all for now from Fayetteville.
Ashlyn, congratulations on another win. We were just talking about what Coach Staley does on a daily basis to continue to push you guys and motivate you guys to get better and better. What are some of those things that you can tell us that she's challenged you guys to work on over the last few weeks?
She's challenged us to just play our best basketball, even though we're winning by a lot in some of these games. She's just continues to tell us, just play how we play. Be disciplined, don't play down to our opponent's levels, and just keep doing what we do.
Another great game for you, Ashlyn. What do you think has been the biggest difference in your game from last season to this season?
Honestly, that I'm playing, to be honest. Yeah.
What do you like about what you've done with that playing time?
I like that I'm looking to score, and I'm looking to get my teammates involved, and I'm just being more active everywhere, and just being communicating to everybody.
Ashlyn, looking at your style of play and how aggressive you are when you do have the basketball, it's a matter of that mindset. Can you just talk to us about what that is, your mentality when you're coming out there every night?
extra work. You do extra work, it'll come out during the games. That's what, like, it's just practice work. Like NBA players, they play how they practice. It's basically the same thing. But I'm not comparing us to NBA players now.
Do you have a favorite player that you grew up liking or watching that you kind of try to play like, or anything you can shed light on for us?
Not like grew up watching. I think I like Jason Tatum's style of play. I like how he plays.
What do you like about how he plays?
He's smooth, real smooth, and poised.
Well, your game is really smooth and poised, and as you're finishing up and wrapping up this unbelievable run that you guys have had, what does this mean going into the last game of the regular season for you with this victory today, and then obviously you'll be back home on Sunday and back in South Carolina?
It means a lot. So far, we're undefeated, and we want to keep it that way, so we're just going to have to come out and play how we normally play.
Ashlyn, we've talked so much all season long about how talented you guys are from every different phase of the game, but bring us inside what it's like behind the scenes. What are practices like with this team? Who are the big personalities? Who are the jokesters? Who are the pranksters? Give us all the tea right now on South Carolina practice.
Practice is fun. Like, of course, we got to get our stuff done, but we try to make it fun, but we can't play too much because coach is going to get upset. But we execute. That's what we do. We execute, but we also play around. So I guess it's a good balance. But we know when to stop. That's what it is. We know when to stop.
We'll follow up with Don.
If Coach doesn't get on, Champ does, right? Because Champ's always hanging out at practice, watching.
Yeah.
Quality control.
Who's the best dancer?
Ooh.
Dancer? A lot of them can dance. I don't dance. Everybody else dance but me, yeah.
She's like, not me.
She just dunks. She doesn't dance.
Yeah. You don't need to dance if you can dunk. Ashlyn, congratulations on another great win. We're looking forward to seeing you guys in Greenville.
Thank you.